When a World War II historian watches Saving Private Ryan, the first thing that commands attention is the film's haunting opening, the D-Day landing on Omaha Beach. This scene has been praised, dissected, and even used by military institutions as a teaching tool for its brutal authenticity. The historian observes how director Steven Spielberg stripped away the usual cinematic glamour, immersing viewers into an experience that feels less like a movie and more like raw memory captured on film. The moment the landing craft ramp drops, chaos erupts, water churns red, bullets slice through the air, and men fall before they can even reach the sand. Historians confirm that the deafening sound design, the stuttering of the MG-42 machine gun, and the confusion of command accurately mirror first-hand soldier accounts. Spielberg's decision to desaturate the color palette gives it a documentary tone, grainy, unfiltered, and painfully real. Many veterans who fought on June 6, 1944, later admitted that this was the closest cinematic depiction they had ever seen to what truly unfolded that morning. The historian points out how even minor details, like soldiers vomiting from fear, struggling to open gear pouches underwater, or dragging comrades to safety with trembling hands, reflect authentic military training failures and emotional truths of combat. The chaos wasn't just cinematic flair, it was organized confusion, exactly as veterans described it. For a historian, the first 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan aren't just film, they are historical empathy rendered through visual violence. Beyond the shock of the first act, a historian studying Saving Private Ryan sees a film deeply rooted in the psychology and logistics of warfare. The small squad sent to find Private James Ryan represents a microcosm of the real 101st and 29th Infantry units, capturing the essence of how American forces were stretched thin across a chaotic European front. What strikes historians most is the film's portrayal of soldiers not as unshakable heroes but as terrified, exhausted men questioning their mission and morality. Captain Miller, played by Tom Hanks, embodies the true wartime officer, balancing duty with the unbearable weight of human life. Every decision he makes feels torn between regulation and compassion. Military historians note the accuracy in the tactical maneuvers, the way the squad clears towns, maintains fire discipline, and checks corners reflects standard U.S. Army infantry tactics from 1944 field manuals. The dialogue among soldiers, the friction between ranks, the gallows humor, and the moral questioning, mirrors documented letters and diaries from GIs. Yet the historian emphasizes that realism in Saving Private Ryan goes beyond tactics, its emotional truth. The film captures what historian Stephen Ambrose called the longest days' longest moments, when men realized that survival often depended on luck more than skill. The historian concludes that Spielberg achieved something rare. The film translates the language of strategy into the language of fear, showing how even perfect planning disintegrates under the weight of human chaos. The historian then turns attention to the film's emotional narrative, the mission to save one man among thousands lost. On paper, it feels implausible, almost too poetic to be real, but the U.S. Army did have a sole survivor policy inspired by real events, such as the Nyland brothers. Historians acknowledge that the emotional centerpiece of Saving Private Ryan, one life weighed against many, mirrors the moral complexity that commanders face daily. Every soldier's death carried not just strategic loss but personal devastation. The historian reflects on the scene where Captain Miller finally breaks down, revealing his fear and longing to return home, to the simple piece of teaching. This moment, historians argue, captures the hidden reality of leadership. Officers were not fearless, but rather the best at hiding fear to keep others steady. The exhaustion in their faces, the trembling in their hands, and the cracks in their voices all resonate with letters historians have read from real captains and sergeants. Saving Private Ryan refuses to glorify war, it humanizes it, showing that valor and vulnerability often live side by side. The historian notes that even the pacing of the film, its long silences between firefights, mirrors the real rhythm of war, hours of tension, moments of terror, and lifetimes of reflection. The film becomes less about rescue and more about remembrance, a cinematic. For the Germans, the post-war reflection was painful. Surviving Panther and Tiger crews wrote memoirs filled with pride and bitterness. Many blamed the shortages of fuel, ammunition, or air cover. Few admitted the deeper truth, that their overconfidence had blinded them to change. One Panther commander, writing years later, put it best. "We believed that engineering alone could win wars. But wars are not fought in factories. They are fought in minds." That realization echoed across decades. The story of the Panther and the 76mm M1 became more than a tale of machines, it became a parable of warfare itself. The greatest enemy of strength is the refusal to evolve. Today, the wrecks of those tanks still rest in forests, fields, and museums. Some are restored, their engines once again growling to life for exhibitions and commemorations. Visitors stare at their massive hulls, at the gouges left by armor-piercing rounds, and imagine the terror and courage of those who once fought inside them. If you look closely, you can still see the faint scars where 76mm shells struck, clean, surgical holes in armor that was never meant to fail. Those scars tell the story better than words ever could. They tell of young American gunners who refused to surrender to fear, of German crews who discovered too late that no tank is invincible, and of a weapon that changed not just the outcome of battles, but the very philosophy of war. In the end, the Panther's downfall and the 76mm's triumph remind us of an eternal truth: every weapon, no matter how advanced, meets its match, not in a stronger weapon, but in a smarter one. The 76mm M1 gun was never the biggest, nor the most famous. But it was the one that made the enemy question everything they believed. It pierced more than armor, it pierced illusion. And on the battlefields of Europe, from Normandy to the Ardennes, that quiet realization echoed louder than any cannon. Because in the end, the true power of war lies not in the steel that fights it, but in the minds that adapt to survive it.